I am the Lonely Necron, and welcome to my basement. So, I've done a lot of battle royales on this channel. I think the only one I haven't done thus far is the heavy support. I did a fast attack, kind of a race kind of thing, but it wasn't an actual battle royale, so eventually I'll do one of those too. But today we're going to do 8 factions, each one donating 20 power level worth of units, and they're going to fight it out on this big 4x6. So I used up all the Bleak Rises, all his Sector Imperialis stuff here. Some of my piping and whatnot. But yeah, we're gonna put 8 groups on this table, and they're gonna fight it out until we have one group standing. Alright, so the first grouping we have Eldar. So we have a Farseer who knows Executioner and Fortune. 10 Guardian Defenders with their little platform thingy. And then 5 Wraithblades. So, Eldar. Scooting over a little bit here, we have the Thousand Suns. So we have an Exalted Sorcerer. Pretty sure he knows Glamour of Tzeentch and Warp Time. 10 Zangors with Zangar Blades. And then 5 Scarab Occult Terminators. There's a Hellfire Missile Rack in there, Soul Reaper Cannon, and the Aspiring Sorcerer dude knows Doombolt. So we have a grouping of Orcs. We got a War Boss in Mega Armor. 2 groups of 10 boys. One with a rocket launcher, the other one with a big shooter. And then 3 Death Coppers. Okay, we got some Night Lords. Led by a Chaos Lord. He has a Thunderhammer. We have 5 Chaos Space Marines. The Aspiring Champion has a Chain Axe and a Plasma Pistol. And then the Special Marine guy has a Flamer. And then 5 Havocs. There's a Heavy Bolter, a Reaper Chain Cannon, 2 Las Cannons, and then the Aspiring Champion Havoc dude also has a Flamer. Alright, so then Tyranids and their offering. We have a Flying Hive Tyrant with a Stranglethorn Cannon, and it knows Onslaught and Catalyst. And then 10 Gene Stealers. Everybody has Toxin Sacs and the Adrenal Glands. So the Necron offering. We have a Necron Overlord with a Void Size and a Resurrection Orb. 10 Immortals with Tesla Carbines, and then 3 Canoptic Wraiths with Particle Casters and Vicious Claws. For the Adeptus Mechanicus, we have a Tech Priest Dominus, 10 Skitaria Vanguard, and a Castellan Robot. And finally, for our last grouping, we have Demons of Slaanesh. So we have the new Demon Prince with wings, who knows Hysterical Frenzy, 5 Secrets of Slaanesh, and 10 Demonettes. Alright, so these 8 groups here are all gonna go at it. I'm gonna put the board back up. I already rolled out all the rounds up to 6 for who goes when. We'll see how long it takes for... I'm gonna guess it's gonna take at least 2 rounds before one person or one faction gets wiped out. That's my guess. I'm gonna bet that the Orcs win because, yeah, a lot of places for combat and they're pretty good at that. So, gonna reset up the board. I'm gonna set these guys up. We're gonna play this game, and it's gonna be a really good time. All right, everybody's picked their spots. They've gotten kind of entrenched. So the Slaanesh forces have kind of huddled around this corner over here. Then the Night Lords, we've got the Havocs up on the 2nd floor with the Legionnaires and the Chaos Lord on the bottom. Tyranids over in this corner. The AdMech are just hanging out around this building, on top and beside it. Necrons in this corner. Eldar are just hanging out on top of this. These guys are probably not going to move unless they have to. Thousand Suns in this corner here. With the orcs in and around this building here. So that's everybody deployed. Nice little pan of the dudes on the field. Alright, so the Tyranids get to go first. Alright, so we'll do the Tyranid turn now. Alright, so the Tyranids made great use of their turn. The Genestealers advanced way forward. They were over here. The Hive Tyrant moved up and successfully cast Onslaught on them, allowing them to charge, and then the Hive Tyrant killed off two of these Havocs. So the Genestealers successfully made their charge into the Space Marines and killed off the entire squad of 5. That was super crazy. Toxin sacks are amazing. Alright, so with that being said, it will now be the Thousand Suns turn. Alright, that was super weirdly interesting. The Zangors moved up to the base of the platform thing here, and the Terminators and the Exalted Sorcerer just moved up a little bit. The Terminators did manage to kill off 2 of the Guardian Defenders with their Infernal Combi Bolters. So in the charge phase, the Zangors charged in, lost a couple of them in the Overwatch part. Managed to kill off, they had to multi-charge into the Wraithblades and the Farseer in order to get into the Defenders. They killed off all of the Guardian Defenders, but the Wraithblades killed off all of the Zangors. So yeah, that was weird. Cool, but weird. Alright, that'll make it the Orc turn. So the Depkoptas have moved forward here. All the other groups advanced. These boys advanced down off the tower. These boys and the Warboss advanced out towards the middle of the field here. No psyker for these guys. The Depkoptas were the only ones that could really shoot, so the Copter Rockets actually managed to kill off one of these Wraithblades. And the Custom Mega Shooter did a little bit of damage to another one. They weren't close enough to charge, so that's really all they could do. So that'll take us to the Necron turn. So the Wraiths advanced way up here to get closer to their AdMech friends. The Overlord did my will be done on these Immortals, and then they all kind of moved forward as a bunching group to get closer to the Eldar. The Necrons managed to only do 1 point of damage to the Wraithblades. Nobody's close enough to really do any charging here, so that'll make it actually the Eldar turn. So the Wraithblades and the Farseer just moved down off of the platform. They actually managed to make, so they all managed to charge into the Immortals somehow. The Immortals killed one of the Wraithblades in Overwatch. The Wraithblades and the Farseer killed off 3 of the Immortals. Somehow the Immortals managed to gunbutt one of the Wraithblades. It was super strange. But the Eldar did pretty successfully run away from the Orcs that were coming their way. I guess running into the Necrons open arms is not the best way to go, but that's what happened. So that'll take it to Slaanesha's turn. Alright, so the Seekers and the Demon Prince moved over here. Demonettes have moved up closer towards the AdMech section. So the Demon Prince put Hysterical Frenzy on the Seekers, who then charged into the Genestealers, and then killed all of the Genestealers. So yeah, that was kind of crazy. That'll make it the admech turn. Alright, so Vanguard just stayed hanging out on top of this building while the Castellan robot and the Dominus got closer to the demonettes. The Dominus and the robot managed to whittle the demonettes down a whole lot before charging into them. These guys actually managed to kill off a wraith, which did not reanimate. So yeah, these guys managed to kill off 3 of the demonettes, I think. Took no damage in return. Alright, so that'll take us to the last grouping. So it'll be the Night Lord's turn. Alright, so the Havocs and the Chaos Lord between them managed to kill off one of the Seekers. Then the Chaos Lord charged into the Seekers and killed off the rest of them. Because 9th edition Chaos Lords are just ridiculously crazy. 9th edition just got so many buffs for these guys. They just got so much bigger. It's so awesome. Alright, so that'll be the end of round 1. So we'll go into round 2, starting with the Orcs. So these boys and the warboss behind them are just advancing further up, heading towards the admech units here. These boys advanced up, heading towards the Eldar Necron mess that's going on over here. The Depcop has moved up to about there, and then charged into the Terminators. They ended up losing one in the fight phase. They killed off 1.5 of the Terminators. That wasn't terrible for them. That'll make it the Eldar turn. The Eldar have opted to just stay where they are and fight it out. Had some bad rolls on the Psyker powers for the Farseer. He didn't kill anybody with his pistol. The Wraithblades did manage to kill off a couple of the Immortals. The Farseer killed one, but a couple reanimated, so not a whole lot of real gain here for the Eldar. So that'll make it the Admech turn. So playing the defense here for Admech seems to be paying off for them. They just hung out where they are. Vanguard killed off yet another one of these wraiths. These guys stayed in combat and killed off the demonettes. These guys are actually doing pretty good. Unlike our next grouping. So it's Slanesh's turn, and they just got this Demon Prince, so we'll see what happens here. So the Demon Prince of Slanesh moved forward a little bit. Tried to cast Smite on the Havocs. Didn't get it, but didn't paralyze either, so there's that at least. Charged into the Chaos Lord and killed him. So that'll make it to turn and turn, which is, I believe, just this Hive Tyrant now. Alright, so the Flying Hive Tyrant moved a lot closer to the Demon Prince. Killed off one of the Havocs with his gun. Charged into the Demon Prince, made it, did a little bit of damage to him, and then the Demon Prince just killed him. Because, yeah, 9th edition demons are just super, super crazy. Like this guy was. Yeah, that makes it the Night Lord's turn. Alright, so these two Havocs are all that are left of the Night Lords. They just turned around, shot the Demon Prince for a couple points of damage. They're not going to charge because they're going to die soon enough anyway. Might as well stay here, or at least they get a bonus to cover. So, Thousand Suns back on the other side of the table, locked in combat with Death Captives. The Exalted Sorcerer just moved over a little bit. He tried to smite the Death Captives and failed. The Terminators managed to kill off one of the Death Captives in combat, and then lost their wounded member. That was kind of sad. And now it's the Necron's turn. Yay! Alright, so the Immortals fell back. The Overlord moved up to take on the Wraithblades. And the Wraith moved over to take on the Vanguard. So, the Wraith killed one of these Vanguard in the shooting phase, and then successfully charged into them, killing a few more. Didn't actually die in Overwatch, which was surprising. Over here, the Overlord charged into the Wraithblades and killed both of them. Like the good little Overlord that he is. Alright, so that'll finish out the second round. So, top of the third round, it starts with the Eldar, which is this poor little Farseer right here. So, the Farseer shot his spear at the Overlord, who saved, and charged into the Overlord, and died. Which kills off the Eldar from this game. So, we'll go to the Night Lords, those last couple of Havocs over there on the building by the Sineshi Demon. Well, these two Havocs are living their best defense life because they've been plinking away a couple points of damage at a pop at this Demon Prince, and they finally managed to kill it this turn. I did not expect that. I was fully expecting the Demon Prince to make all of his saves, but that didn't happen. So Sinesh is dead off the board, so the Thousand Suns then clear over there on the other side with the Orcs. Well, some of the Orcs anyway. These Terminators are definitely putting in the work today. Definitely well worth the money I paid for them. So nobody moved. The Exalted Sorcerer did finally get a smite off, which did a little bit of damage to the Death Captain. The pistol shots didn't do anything to it, but the power swords, force swords, power swords, whatever those things are, they definitely finished off the Death Captain, so that was nice and handy. Unfortunately, that makes it the Orc turn, and those boys are real close. Probably about to get a lot closer. These Orcs have opted indeed to go after these Terminators over here. They moved closer, but did not make the charge. It's like an 8-inch charge. I'm not surprised on that one. These Orcs and the War Boss all also got closer here, just moving up. There's not enough room up here for these guys, even if they make the charge, so plus it's going uphill and all of that. It ended up being like an 11-inch charge, and nah. No room. Alright, so the Necron turn. Alright, so the Overlord and the Immortals got some crappy advance rolls, but they moved forward toward the inevitable Thousand Sun Orc combat that's likely to happen over there. The one remaining Wraith killed off a Vanguard with its pistol, its particle caster, and then killed 3 with the Vicious Claws and saved on all of the wounds to 1 wound. Good times. Alright, so then the Admech turn. This ought to be interesting. Alright, so the Vanguard fell back down here to the ground. Castle and Robot and the Dominus just kind of turned around and moved closer. Did a point of damage to the Wraith with the Castle and Robot. The Dominus actually managed to charge in and kill it with the Omnissiah Axe. That was super ridiculous. Alright, so that'll take us to the top of round 4. There's a whole lot less people on the board right now. Start the round off with 1,000 Suns. Alright, so the Terminators are definitely paying for themselves today. So they moved closer to the orcs. A smite from the Exalted Sorcerer and the Doombold from the Terminator Sorcerer guy killed off one of the orcs. And then between guns and combat, they killed off another 4 and only lost 1 Terminator, so they're doing a lot better. That does unfortunately make it the orc turn, so we'll see if those Terminators are still alive at the end of that. The orcs definitely had a good round this time. So the boys and the war boss over here moved up. They managed to kill off the last of the vanguard, which was super surprising for orc shooting. The boys actually managed to charge into the castle robot. Didn't do any damage to it, and the castle robot managed to kill 2 of the boys off. Over here, they didn't do any damage with their sluggers, but they did manage to kill off the last 2 Terminators in the combat. That was super crazy. So that'll make it the Necron turn. The Overlord and the Immortals just advanced forward after the Overlord gave the Immortals "My will be done." And then the Immortals managed to kill off the Exalted Sorcerer, which removes Thousand Suns from the board. So we'll go over to the AdMech. Back over here on this side of the table. Gonna have a whole lot of advancing, I think, for either the Orcs or the Necrons to get over to the Night Lords when that time comes. And the Adeptus Mechanicus are definitely killing some things off today. Dominus ended up charging into the boys, and between he and the Castle Robot, they killed off 5 of the boys. And took no damage in return, which was super, super ridiculous. Alright, so that'll make it the Night Lord's turn, which is really just these 2 Havocs right here. Alright, so didn't actually make a lot of hits with the Reaper Chain Cannon. Only made a couple of wounds, and the Orc actually managed to save against all of it. Alright, so that'll take us to the top of round 5 with 4 factions left on the table. Gonna start off with the Orcs. Alright, so the War Boss is tired of getting shot at, so he's gonna go over here and try and take these guys on. Not close enough to charge, though. These guys, in the combat phase, lost a couple of guys and didn't do any damage. And these boys, with their full distance, made their charge into the Overlord. Didn't do any damage to the Overlord, lost 2 of their members for the privilege of charging into him. So that was nice. That'll make it the AdMech turn. So neither of these guys moved, and they just killed the nub in combat. So that'll make it the Havoc's turn again. Alright, so the Reaper Chain Cannon does 1 point of damage to the War Boss. If we gotta plink this guy to death too, then I guess that's what has to happen. Alright, so back to the other side of the board for the Necrons. Hard to see them from this angle. The Immortals have started advancing towards the other end of the board, where the last remaining members seem to be gathering. And the Overlord killed off the last of the boys in combat. Alright, I did not expect this game to go this long, but here we are at the top of round 6. Let's start this turn off with the Night Lords. The Reaper Chain Cannon just did another couple points of damage to the War Boss. So yeah, just gonna hang out up on this destroyed building kind of thing and just keep on shooting at whatever comes close and hoping they don't die. Unfortunately, it is the orc's turn, so we'll see if that not dying thing works out for them this turn. Well, I was kind of actually expecting that to happen. So the warboss went its full distance and then charged into the havocs. Made his charge, suffered no overwatch, and killed the crap out of the Night Lords. So they're off the table now too. That'll make it the AdMech turn. Alright, so the AdMech are just moving out, heading off towards the warboss. That'll make it the Necron turn. Alright, so the Immortals and the Overlord are just advancing forward towards the other end where the AdMech and the Warboss are about to be. That'll make it the Orc turn. The Warboss has just come down off the building here. Failed to hit with his big shoot, I think is what it is. And also failed to charge. But it was a 10-inch charge, and I didn't expect him to make it. And he didn't suffer any overwatch, so happy times there. That'll make it to Necron turn. Necron's continuing to advance forward here. The Immortals only hit the Castling robot with a couple of their shots and just completely failed to wound on it. That'll make it the AdMech turn. Alright, that was some of the most amazing dice rolls I've seen in at least a little while. The Dominus and the Castling both moved up closer to the Warboss. Did a single point of damage to him in shooting. Charged him. Neither one of them took any damage in Overwatch, and then they just, between the two of them, managed to kill the Warboss. Which leaves just them and the Necrons. And it is the Necrons' turn, so the Necrons are continuing to advance forward. Not much further to go now. The Immortals managed to do 2 points of damage to the Dominus. That'll make it the AdMech turn. So the remaining combatants are getting a lot closer to each other now. The Dominus got on the other side of the pipe. The Castling made it to the pipe. And between the two of them, they managed to kill off 2 of the Immortals, who did not reanimate. The Dominus tried to charge into the Immortals and failed, and did suffer a point of overwatch for that. Which will take us to the Necron turn. So the Overlord gave the Immortals my will be done, and even with all of that, the Dominus has a 2-up save, and it definitely saved against all of those wounds. So the Overlord advanced up so he can't charge, which will make it the AdMech turn. So the Dominus and the Castling robot both got on the other side of the pipe and further. Killed off one of the Immortals in the shooting phase. The Dominus charged in to the Immortals, killing off the remaining 2. So that'll make it the Necron turn for this last Overlord. The Overlord charged into the Dominus, survived Overwatch, and killed him. Alright, so it's going to come down to a last battle between the Castling robot and the Overlord. It's the Castling's turn. Alright, that was legitimately crazy. Didn't do any damage in the shooting phase, but then the robot charged into the Overlord, made it. Yeah, Castling Fist do 3 damage. So yeah, he failed to save on 2 of the wounds. Took enough damage to die. So the ultimate end-all winner of this particular battle royale is the AdMech, and this Castling robot in particular, since he's the last guy standing. So yeah, 20 power level of AdMech, Castle and Robots, the only one that survives. Good times. AdMech win! Yay! I do have other armies that have other kind of things. I'm probably going to do this kind of theme a few more times, just changing up the different groupings of 20. Might even try this at like 30 or 50, but I don't know how much of a masochist I am. We'll see how it goes. So yay, AdMech. If you made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. Probably going to be doing a lot more larger grouping battles, at least until I can get a Death Guard codex and get the Iron Warriors painted up. Then we can go back to gaming things. Mostly figured out how to do the interior of the Tomb World. So the Chaos Alliance groupings and start doing interior Necron stuff. Definitely looking forward to those games. So yeah, again, if you made it this far, thanks. Have a great day.